Mr. Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question for Mrs. Willingham, but I'd like a clarification from Mr. Trammel. First of all, Mr. Trammel, can you tell me something about Harry Hursty?
All I can tell you is he's a signatory to the letter.
Do you know anything about him? Besides that, I guess the answer is no. Are any of these people in the letter you've handed out here today? Okay, there's one here, and maybe he'll testify later. The
Counsel, I'm not.
in the letter it says in the second paragraph, and you read it, except when needed to accommodate voters with disabilities. That's when they don't recommend hand-marked ballots. So you're admitting by handing this out that you support forcing disabled voters to use a different machine than everybody else.
Representative, I don't think that. I think that
What machine are they going to use then?
We have responsibility as the state to accommodate voters under the Americans with Disabilities Act.
And under this letter you've handed out, they'd have to use a different machine than the one they're recommending for everybody else. Isn't that true?
It says that in the case when they are unable to mark a hand-marked paper ballot, they are saying that would be the only time where one would be an option.
I think you just answered yes, but I wouldn't want to admit it either, so I understand your hesitancy. Ms. Willingham, my question...
I think the letter speaks for itself.
And I'm speaking to you. Ms. Willingham, my question for you was, in the good explanation you gave us of the test run that you did with, that you described, did your handicapped voters, if you had any, would they have been required to vote on a different type machine than everybody else?
If we were only using a ballot marking system, the answer is no.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Blackman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would it also be appropriate for, may I ask Leader Trammel a question with regards to the letter that was just handed out, just what it contemplates, or is that appropriate at another time?
Happy to answer. Mr. Chairman, let me just say, Mr. Chairman, that I mean, if people want to take shots at any individual signatory to the credential, you know, it's certainly the purview of any representative on this committee. But what I find disturbing as a member of this subcommittee is the notion that we would discount expert testimony in any form from across the country on the issue. But I'm happy to answer the gentleman's question.
Mr. Chairman. Ms. Willingham has just given us her years of experience in this area. I think if you and I were in court, I would qualify her as an expert. Aren't you discounting her advice that she's just given to us?
So let me answer this question thusly. If we were in court, I would have subpoenaed this expert testimony from these 23 witnesses, which is a member of the minority party of this committee. I do not have subpoena power to bring expert testimony to this proceeding.
Mr. Trammel, will you hold on just a minute? Now, the chair has given a lot of diligence to a lot of the actions, but this is a committee meeting. This isn't a recreational sport. If you could keep your applause to yourself so that these people can talk. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Trammel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we're comparing apples to oranges here. This isn't a trial, though it certainly feels like the experts who are in support of the notion that hand-marked paper ballots are the most secure method of voting in Georgia are on trial. But as you can see, many of these are from out of state. With respect to the lady's testimony, I mean, I certainly agree with respect to the conduct of elections. She has lots of experience on the issue of the conduct of elections and can speak to that issue. But what these experts are speaking to is the risk of one system versus another system. And quite frankly, you know, they are in a superior position to offer testimony about that. And if we were in court and testimony was offered by somebody on the issue of cybersecurity, you and I both know that no judge in Georgia should permit testimony without credentials in the expert field of cybersecurity.
Ms. Willingham, I consider you an expert in the area of elections, and I, for one, appreciate you being here today, and I appreciate the work that you've done. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I just might, you know, we can use words, and what you said is absolutely true. You have experience in elections and can speak as an expert in the conduct of elections. That is not cybersecurity. And all this letter says, and all I'm saying, is that cybersecurity experts have definitively opined on which method of voting is superior.